Yeah,
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
let's intro it.
Welcome to our show. Welcome to our show. Hello, everybody.
I actually really want that to be our theme song.
I'm gonna put like a bunch of like 6 snares behind it.
Yes.
Like a dope ass beat.
Do it. I'm.
And then I'll be making trumpet noise.
Ooh. That's our show, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Or listening.
Today we are going to talk about I, Tonya,
Hello,
directed by Craig Gillespie, written by Steven Rogers, starring Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan.
And who else?
Alison,
Janny.
Janny.
Can we take
Yeah.
the first 10 minutes of the podcast and just go through the full crew list of this entire movie?
Yes.
Wait. I'm on IMDb right now. All right.
Hey, it's written by
for-
Captain America.
It's written by Steve.
This is the origin story to Steve Rogers.
Which is
Actually.
funny because the Winter Soldier's in the movie.
Yeah, tie-in, y'all. Tie-in.
So yeah, I, Tonya. Really good movie.
For those of y'all who didn't get my joke, it's written by Steven Rogers, and I'm just gonna have an argument that Steve Rogers' real name is Steven.
Well, he goes by the slang for sure.
Yes.
For sure, the slang.
Nickname Steve, because that N is just too much.
Also, thinking about there's a superhero named Steve, and that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is.
God help us,
Steve.
Steve. Steve will save us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were talking about I, Tonya today. Well, I guess we should give like a little overview of the movie first. Is about the figure skater Tonya Harding, who had a very interesting life. And it's just about her trials and tribulations during the 1989 to the 1994 Olympics in Lillehammer Olympics in 1994.
Okay.
Yeah. What did everyone think of the movie? Kevin, thoughts?
I really liked it. It was a good character study of point of view, and also like a tragic anti-hero in a way.
Yeah.
Where basically like, okay, everyone viewing as a bad guy. Here's my story, type of deal. It's kind of like, I don't know. I saw it as like an origins, like someone who's like pit against, like everything was against her. So it was in a way kind of like saying like, being the person that everyone viewed you as type of thing. Just for the sake of doing something that you love. No, I really liked it a lot. I liked how it kept on putting you against of trying to see what's true, what's false. Did the person deserve this? Especially like how it's like based off of real like interviews that went place. So it's very, very interesting. I liked it a lot, and I liked how it just kind of like kept you guessing all the way to the end.
Yeah, movies that are true stories that can that can still be suspenseful, where it makes you forget that you know what's gonna happen. And honestly, with things like this that happened, before I was alive, that were still talked about when I was a kid, I honestly don't ever really know that much about. Like, this happened when I watched OJ versus the People, and I knew about the white Bronco and the glove, but I didn't know, very much else about the case, just because that happened when I was so young. It happened before I was born. And then it was something that I knew just enough about to be like, oh yeah, I know about that, but I couldn't tell you about it. And so, yeah, this film really did an amazing job of an insider's look into it, and you sympathize for her so much.
Totally.
You really feel for her, and to take someone that you already have an idea of who she was, and then be able to kind of change that idea or dive into it and explain it, I think is really that takes a lot of talent. And I think it was. I also agree. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like I might have a slightly different view of Tonya Harding because as I've been talking with Mary about it, the first time that I saw Tonya Harding wasn't through like the incident as they call it in the movie with Nancy, but she was on the show called True TV's World's Dumbest, where she essentially just like along with a bunch of other people just commented on like YouTube videos and like people falling down. So like in my brain, like she was a comedian before she was a skater, which was weird to me. So
I didn't.
So going into it, because she's really funny on the show, and it's like going into it, it's like it felt like it made it more human for me for that character. Whereas like I saw her on the show, and now I'm like watching her life story as like as accurate as it may be.
Yeah.
Unfold on the screen. And I just felt like so much sympathy for her when she was going through
Yeah.
tough times because you see her currently, and it's like, oh man, that must have been so rough to get you to this point in life. Which I'm sure she seems happy and doing fine-ish now, but it really is tragic about how that kind of went down. And I have to say, Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan and everyone like were on full cylinders in this movie.
Yeah.
Like really, this is the best I've seen Margot Robbie, Sebastian Stan. First time I've really seen him in anything besides, was it Winter Soldier, where he's like giving something of like no. Allison Janney was amazing,
so good.
as usual. She kind of brought that like flair of like, yes, I was an incredibly abusive mother, but it was for like a purpose.
Right.
But to see if that purpose was worth anything is, I guess, the debate. But yeah, no, I was just so happy with everyone in this movie. The guy who played Sean seemed really dead on from the interviews
my
after
God.
the credits.
I want more of him. I want more of that character. Just like
just
on
spit on
rants.
Sean.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
I Sean.
Yeah.
And it's all just what he-
Honestly.
It's actually him being a CIA, but it's like a really bad CIA agent.
Exactly. But yeah, I was so all about this movie. I loved its pacing and cinematography and storytelling in
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
Because it felt like it was a movie that like flowed so nicely, but then also it's like it could have been such a drab, like depressing movie, but they chose to make something like really cool and creative and like fun and entertaining with it, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it could have taken and let me preface by saying I love all the movies I'm about to mention, but they're all very gritty and have hardly any fun in them at all. So it could have taken more of a Foxcatcher or Whiplash feel to it. That's just like about the art and the skating, and it and the skating was in it, and you see how important it was, but it's not a story that's about figure skating. It's a story about Tonya Harding, and I liked that because sometimes when they get too focused on like this one thing, then and Foxcatcher's amazing, but there's I think there's one or two parts that I laughed in that.
Yeah.
And it was just because Steve Carell was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But in this, it was human. And DJ and I were talking about this last night. But there's a flair to it, and I loved that instead of going for realism, they went for like when she first does her. I think it's when she's in her blue when she does the first triple axel.
Yeah.
It's explosive, and the camera movements are amazing because it's like how that felt. I think it's how the judges probably viewed her, because it wasn't extremely elegant or this it was beautiful, but in a different way. It wasn't like watching a ballerina. It was like watching this explosive energy that hadn't really been tamed or groomed.
Yeah.
And that was able to portray that in a way where I felt like the camera was also a character. And I love things that do that versus let's just try to make this as real as it is. Like, let's try to recreate how that must have felt, because that's what the movie is about. It's about feeling. It's not about just the how accurate can this be. and in a way that becomes more accurate, if that makes sense. And I loved that. That was one of my favorite elements of the entire film.
Yeah. I feel something we need to discuss. And Kevin,
Yeah.
please tell me if you recognize this or not. But as we talk about the skating,
Yes.
we must also talk about Margot Robbie's face that was very clearly put on in post.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
may I say,
Yeah.
not the best, not the worst,
Yeah.
but enough to be like, oh, that's not finished.
Yeah, like in a
yet.
post-Avatar world.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was the only part of the movie, like the skating wise, that I was like so like distracted, where I was just like, oh my, like my thing was like, just don't show her face if that's
Yeah.
the case. Like just like
Yeah.
don't show, because it looked like it was like she would be turning, but then her face wouldn't turn with her,
Yeah.
which is like
Yeah.
it wasn't the best. And I just want to know what you guys thought about that. Like, did it bug you as much as it might have bugged me?
I definitely noticed it. And
Yeah, I noticed it too.
yeah, and it was distracting, obviously, because we all noticed it.
Yeah.
And I think it looks like they CGI'd the real Tonya Harding, who was, 19 or 15 and all the different skating parts, and put it on Margot Robbie's face, which is confusing to me because
Or
that's
put
what it
Margot
looks like.
Robbie on their face.
But it's whichever way.
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
like the wrong face was put on someone.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
It's like, just get a stunt double that looks like Margot Robbie, or like just put prosthetics on her to make her look like Margot Robbie, like, or something. Like, I feel like there are so many other ways to do that.
Yeah.
But like, it's weird because the rest of the movie's like use of CG is like so like seamless and like real. Like they have that was it the one shot where Jeff is in the house and it's like right after Tanya leaves, and it's just showing him like throughout the days.
Oh, I loved that shot.
And it's like a seamless like transition. I was like,
yeah,
this is, like,
and it just pulls
amazing.
out all the way down the road.
Yeah, like that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was the only real problem I had visually with the movie. I thought, other than that, I was like, oh, I live for movies like this.
Yes,
honestly,
yeah.
like I just like it brings me so much life to see like so much color and so much like vibrance in life. Like it feels like Tanya Harding as the movie. Like the spirit of the movie is Tanya Harding.
Yeah, and it's so hard to go see
yeah.
a movie that you feel like captures the heart of the person they're trying to portray.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's and I feel like through watching the show too, like you kind of like get like a new perspective of her,
Yeah.
which might not be the most accurate, but it's just like, oh yeah, totally, that's how she talks. Like
Yeah.
watching them next to each other, it's like, oh wow, Margot Robbie did an amazing job, like as Tanya Harding. Even like before, I was just like, she looks nothing like Tanya Harding.
Yeah, and is kind of older to be playing that role.
Yeah, and it was just like, that's
Yeah.
weird, but like I completely believed her throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree.
yeah, good. Are Mary, do you agree as well?
I do agree.
I think we're all in agreement. All right, so
All right. Sentence is possible few Oscar nominations. Not a lot taken home, but memorable at least. Blu-ray purchase necessary. All right.
Yes, yeah.
Click, click. Gavel, gavel.
I concur.
I concur.
I concur with that. Oh.
I
Stroking my long beard. Yes, yes.
Gav's got a beard to the floor now since the last time you guys have heard us.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty crazy.
I have a molecule.
I'm growing out for a role.
I would. Oh my god, I
I'm
cannot.
playing a
wait
bus
to
driver.
See this on Blu-ray and then all the behind-the-scenes stuff of how they
Yeah.
did
I
everything.
know.
Yeah. I want to know how much skating she was actually doing because that's impressive.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It felt really silly to me because like they would like do like the CGI shot with her face on like the skater's body,
Yeah.
and then they would do that shot like in fighting movies where it's like obviously a stunt double, and then
Yeah.
they like do the shot where they land, and it's like so like get out of here.
Yeah.
You didn't land.
Yeah.
Stop it. Get
Yeah.
out of here, Margot. You little scamp.
Yeah.
But no, I was so impressed with everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we want to do favorite lines and ratings now? Do we have more to say?
Sure. I'll volunteer going last.
All
Okay.
right. I volunteered to go
I
last.
volunteered DJ to go first.
Oh, you sons of guns. I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5. A point 0.5 being docked for her face, and not in a mean way, but in the way of the CG didn't look like her face wasn't on the body, right? I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. Thought it was a hit of the winter. I thought it was a great time, and I would heavily recommend it to anybody to see. Everyone did a great job.
Where
9.5.
Yeah.
9.5. So where do you feel like it rates for films of 2017?
Very high. Upper
Yeah.
echelon of like maybe top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tight.
Favorite line? Ooh, That's a good question, Mary. Thanks for asking. I'm trying.
Anytime, DJ.
I'm trying to figure out. It was a movie that like had a lot of really fun lines, but I cannot think of one that stood out to me at this point in time.
Yeah, there was one that I remember that I heard, and I was like, ooh, like that,
Yeah.
and I, for the life of me, can't think of it right now.
I will replace favorite line with favorite moment. That was the most silly. Is when the guy was trying to get out of the building, and then like he had a baton, but chose to break the door with his face.
Yeah.
I know.
That bit of logic was just like so great. Mary leaned over to me. He's like, he has a baton,
Yeah.
and I just lost my mind for a good like minute or so, just thinking about that. It's like, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny.
But yeah, so that's where I land, Mary.
Yeah, my overall thoughts on the movie is that I really, like, you know, one of the last movies that we talked about was Lady Bird, and that goes over, you know, a mother-daughter relationship, and in a way this film does too, in a completely different way.
Way more toxic.
Way more toxic.
A
And
wee bit.
to not spoil anything, and if you've gotten this far into the podcast, then you probably have seen the movie, I hope.
And if not, you better be stopping and watching that
Yeah.
movie because you don't want to get no spoilers about it.
But
I know, like,
yeah.
how it was all a dream.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
and Jar Jar Binks showed up and was
He
actually
always-
Tonya Harding
he
the
was,
entire time.
yeah, so talented at Jar Jar. That's how.
And he was like,
not so much-
Misa, do a twirl.
Yeah, that's what he said. I
Um,
was about to make a really dark joke and I chose not
I'm
to.
glad you didn't.
Thank
Tell
you.
us after we.
Absolutely.
But I think someone did warn me that it was pretty abusive, and I'm kind of glad that I got
Yeah.
warned about it, because even knowing that going in afterwards, I was like a little shook. I think Margot Robbie deserves the Oscar. I hope Allison Janney also gets one. I hope Sebastian Stan gets a nod at least.
I want the parrot to at least get a nod as well.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan gets the nod because the parrot's taking it home.
The parrot's taking it home for
Yeah.
best actor, best film, best director.
Right. But listen, the bunny's still gonna the bunny
We're not
the
talking
bunny
about
the
this
Peter
here.
Rabbit is still gonna beat him.
Mary,
Oh,
please. Peter
so-
Rabbit's gonna get nothing and you know it.
You don't know anything.
Uh,
But I just wanted to talk real fast because I like the part where, I like how Margot Robbie, how it deals with abuse, because it's not like she's this frail, weak person, you know, because there's moments where she'll be like, you know, like, don't touch me and like get away from me and all this different stuff. But then, so the scene whenever she's at dinner with her mom and, she's like, you know, you skated horribly out there, and she's like, I'm sorry, and she's like, that's it, that's all, you're sorry, like, don't talk back to me, and she starts throwing things at her, and in that moment, Tonya Harding is just like, she's so, you see how young she is, and you like how scared she is, and then the moment where her mother throws the knife at her, and you just like, and then she just like leaves. I think it was really so well done just to show the complexity of her character, because she's this strong character, and then you watch her through this whole film wanting like her mother's approval so much, and wanting her husband to love her and treat her well so much, and wanting to go to the Olympics and be loved by America so much, and it's so heartbreaking. So I would say my favorite scene, because I also don't remember my favorite line, my favorite scene would probably be whenever the judge, or I thought it was the most amazingly acted scene, was when
Yeah.
the judge is like, you're not going to be able to skate ever again. And watching her struggle with that information was, I got tears in my eyes because I was thinking, what if someone told me when I was 15 you can't ever play violin again, or you can't ever watch like a movie again, or write, or something that's very important to me. That would be so heartbreaking. And that acting was amazing, and that was the moment where I was like, she needs that Oscar, give it to her. And for lack of a quote, I loved the scene with Sean when he keeps on going on about how he's an FBI agent, and the interviewer's like, no, you're not.
Secret agent of
But
espionage.
yeah, but you're not. That I am. But you're not.
I think I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Overall, I think also it should win cinematography. I think the cinematography was amazing. I think it will be that or Dunkirk. And I also give the movie a 9.5. Would recommend. And that's all.
Gavin, your time has come.
I really liked it. I'm always a big sucker for dark comedies that kind of like play with your emotions. I think that's been a big thing of what we always talk about of one of our favorite movies this year. This one's definitely in my top 10. Really liked it. Really liked the abuse part was very hard to watch.
Yeah.
Especially how nonchalant it was in a way, but like it did it where it wasn't like non-tasteful. Like it knew about it, but it made it like they were like so used to being abusive with each other, and especially her growing up abusive, that she just was so used to it that it kind of like made the situation even like sadder. But like they did a good way about it, and that kind of like affected me, and then make me laugh at another point. So. It was a good mixture of emotions that I love when I go see a theater. I actually have a quote. It's probably the easiest quote. I shouldn't be saying his name. Derek.
Okay, that's fair.
I love that line. It's just
so
like,
good.
Derek.
I shouldn't be
like
saying
that a
his
lot.
name. Derek. I think he says Derek, but still, it was just really funny.
Sean was such a show stealer in this movie. I loved just the idea of him like thinking that he is like so brilliant in this mastermind, but is like just the dumbest person alive. Yeah. Which like, what were you thinking?
He
you
was
idiot.
Yeah, and then the part when he said, Scarface wasn't even on last night.
Yeah, that was the craziest part of all. That was the twist of the century.
Yeah.
But oh my god, yeah, his parts were always so entertaining to watch because he was like just a definition of like just a loser. Where he's just like,
oh man, he frustrated me so much.
Yeah, like when he's talking to like, was it Margot Robbie and Sebastian Stan's character on the ice?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh god, I ate shit out there, or was it? What did she say?
Like,
I got bigger shit
I got
to fry.
bigger shit to fry.
And
yeah.
he's like, you eat shit. The term's fish to fry, Tonya. I was like, oh, shut up, Sean. Shut up.
Yeah.
I know.
You are the worst. But, yeah. Tonya, great movie.
Very
great time.
good. Yeah.
I know.